Welcome to October's Business Outlook Survey press conference call. My name is Catherine Dibling, Senior Media Representative with the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. And with me today is Mike Trebbing, Senior Economic Analyst also with the bank. We will be taking questions from reporters Ellen Freilich of Reuters and Kathleen Madigan of Dow Jones on what our manufacturers said in October. A few other reporters may be joining us later. Mike Trebbing will now give a brief summary on today's report. Mike?
Good morning. Regional manufacturing executives responding to the Business Outlook survey in October reported nearly steady activity in the sector. Although the survey's broadest indicators for general activity, shipments, and employment improved this month and were slightly positive, the index for new orders remained negative, suggesting overall weakness in demand. Firms maintained essentially steady employment levels this month, but average work hours fell. Price increases for inputs were more widespread this month, although the prices of firms' manufactured goods continued to decline. The survey's broad indicators for future activities suggest that optimism among the region's manufacturing executives improved notably this month.
Thank you, Mike. Kathleen Madigan, Dow Jones, do you have any questions?
Well, obviously the prices paid index caught a lot of people's attention. Was there any specific commodity or input price that they're paying? And also, the fact that they're still having to cut their own prices suggests a real profit squeeze going on. And can you comment on that? Thanks.
Right. I usually answer that question by providing comments we got from the firms, but this month we actually didn't receive any with regard to prices, perhaps because we focused their attention on the employment question. But we saw an increase in the share of firms that reported increase in their inputs from 23% to 34%, and a rather large increase in the prices paid index. But we're still seeing, that on balance, firms are seeing price reductions for their own manufactured goods. And yes, I mean they're always talking about competition and the inability of the firms to pass on cost increases, but no specific comments this month about that number. But we're looking at it carefully. We also saw a rise in the 6-month forecast on prices as well. So although there's weakness in the sector, we're seeing some bounding up of prices.
Questions. Ellen Freilich, Reuters.
Yes. If it's true that the profits are a little bit being squeezed a little bit and demand is weak, what is the source of the optimism over the next 6 months? Is it the prospect of the Fed becoming more stimulative, or what?
It's not clear. I mean, the comments continue to be, lackluster, I would say. Although there are firms that are growing, we do get those comments in their own commentary. We pretty much rely on the consistency of the questions month to month. We ask the same questions. So we see when we see an index improving, like the 6-month forecast, we can just say that there's something happening on that front. And of course, 6 months is looking out, already into the spring when we see some improvement in manufacturing growth. So the good news is that we don't.
Are you talking about seasonal improvement in manufacturing growth?
We do have seasonal factors, applied to the 6-month forecast as well. But I don't know. They're looking past the end of this year into the spring, and maybe optimism is not the right word. They're not calling for any more decreases, and in that sense, that's an improvement in forecasts as well, especially over these weak months that we've seen the last few months through the summer.
And what about hiring?
We saw a pickup too in the expectations for hiring, improvement of about 10 or 11 points in the 6-month forecast on employment. And on the current side, we're still calling it rather flat employment, with about the same share of firms reporting increases as decreases, and average work week that looks a little bit lower than last month, but not the reductions we saw in the previous 2 months. So the employment numbers seem to be consistent with the other responses we're getting on the broad indicators for orders and shipments and activity in general. It looks more like flat growth right now than anything else.
Ellen Freilich, Reuters, any questions?
I think you just called on me.
Oh, I did. Okay, you're right. Excuse me. Kathleen Madigan, Dow Jones, any questions?
Yeah. On the special question, if I'm reading this right, it does seem that even the companies that are hiring are using not full-time workers. The short time, it's temporary workers and stuff like that. Am I reading that right?
Well, yeah, we asked in the special question whether their workforce had decreased, increased, or stayed the same over the last year. And consistent with our current indicators over the last year, we about the same percentages of firms reporting increases as decreases. But we did ask them about their use of flexible workers, if you will, not only regular full-time and part-time, but also short-term workers and especially temporary and agency workers and contract workers. And we asked them whether the shares of those particular kinds of work groups had increased or decreased over the last year. And we saw close to a third of the firms that indicated an increased share, for example, of temporary or agency workers, and about 63% of the firms that we surveyed used those kind of workers in their hiring practices. So it would appear that there has been some substitution of these temporary or agency workers, at least for those firms that have shown increases. The reasons for that have been given across the board in some of the responses. Some of it due to uncertainty, some of it due to cost reduction efforts, others dealing with temporary increases in demand that they're not certain of its duration. So a lot of interesting comments in that regard. But we've never asked this question before, so we found it interesting to see the nature and magnitude of the use of temporary work arrangements.
All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Follow-up questions. Ellen Freilich?
No, nothing. I'm finished. Thank you very much.
Okay. Kathleen, you have any follow-up questions?
No, I'm done too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you again in November.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've just been watching the Business Outlook Survey press conference call. My name is Catherine Dibling, Senior Media Representative, and with me today was Mike Trebbing, Senior Economic Analyst. Next month's Business Outlook Survey will be posted on our website on Thursday, November 18th at 10 a.m.